Hello and welcome to how to use the Nikon Super Cool Scanner 4000. I'm not sure who in the marketing team came up with that name. As silly as that name is, the scanners are actually pretty good film scanners. The max resolution they can scan is 4000 dpi, which is just like a crazy amount of resolution on there. So I found the scanner is sort of happiest when you turn on the scanner first and then you try to open the program. Sometimes it can take a little bit where you have to turn the scanner on and off, you have to turn the program on and off. We're working with a little bit older technology here, so sometimes it's not super cooperative. Okay, like now. The second time I'm recording it because the first time it was completely uncooperative. Alright, there we go. Now the program actually wants to open. Alright, so you open up the program once the scanner's on and you load a piece of film into it following the little diagram that I've put on the scanner. So the emulsion side should be up, the shiny side should be up, and follow the diagram where the top of your film should be and where the bottom should be. It's not going to be a huge deal if you scan it and it's upside down, but then your pictures will appear upside down both here in the thumbnail window and here in the preview window. So when you open it up, the first thing you're going to want to do after you load a piece of film in there is click here, thumbnails. Right? And then you also want to make sure you have a tool palette over here on the right. So I'm going to go to View and Tool Palette, because we're going to need that to adjust some of our settings. As you noticed, I made the window as big as possible because I want to see the biggest image here. Alright, so you can see the thumbnails, they just give you a little bit, and then before you do your final scan, don't just jump to scan, go to preview because you want to make sure your settings are all correct. Alright, before you do that, you want to check, it kind of senses what kind of film you have in there, so it sensed that I had color negative film. There's also neg mono, which is black and white, monochromatic, and then there's also positive film if for some reason you shot with slide film, but I don't think any of you guys shoot with slide film. But in case you brought in some old like family slides or something that you wanted to scan, you can do that as well. So preview takes a little bit, and just it's kind of a patience thing, but you guys know patience from working in the darkroom and from shooting. Not everything in digital is instantaneous. You'll need to spend some time maybe cleaning things up in Photoshop just a little bit, or if you're working digital, you spend lots of time editing in Lightroom or Photoshop just like you would in the darkroom. So it's an investment in the process. Alright, great. So we have our image here. It's just a preview, and obviously we can see a lot more detail here than we can see in the thumbnail. Alright, so you're going to want to click and drag around the area you actually want to scan. I don't want to waste time scanning this white and black part. I can always get it much more precise in Photoshop later, or you can spend the time now and try and crop it exactly the way you want it. Okay. The most important things in the tool palette to pay attention to are sure I can find it. The crop, once you click and drag, just make sure keep this crop is selected. And the resolution should always be 4000 pixels per inch. Don't change that because we always want to start with the highest quality file that we can. And now when storage is pretty cheap, digital storage, like how many gigabytes you can get, it's okay to have large files. Back in the day you might have been worried about that a little bit more when you didn't have enough space on your hard drive or whatever. You can play with the curves here. I kind of usually prefer to play with the curves when I'm in Photoshop, but it's your preference if you like manipulating curves. You could use this white point set tool. You click on that, and then you click somewhere saying this should be my brightest white highlight, and then it recalibrates the curve. But I just like to leave it as is. The next most important thing is digital ice, right? We know dust is our enemy. I see dust here, I see dust here, I see dust here, and I don't want to spend time in Photoshop clone stamping or spot healing every single one of those dots out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click Enable Digital Ice, and I'm going to click on Fine. All right. And then finally, I'm going to go to Scanner Extras, and I'm going to make my bit depth 14. It's giving us as much digital information as possible. And then I'm going to click Scan. So back to the digital ice, I wanted to just get the scan started because it takes a while. Digital ice is looking for that dust. It kind of uses its formula to sense, oh, okay, this area doesn't really match the rest of the area, so I can tell it's dust or scratches. It's not always perfect, but it gives you a good starting point. I wouldn't use digital ice if for some reason you're doing a shoot, like maybe you were shooting glitter or something, for some reason, because it wouldn't be able to tell what's glitter and what's a dust or, a little scratch. But overall, it's pretty precise. Fine takes more time than regular, but it's worth it rather than spending hours, as I've done with prints with scanning negatives before when I was scanning 4x5 negatives, spending hours zooming in and getting every little piece of dust with a clone stamp or with a healing brush. Alright, now's the point in the video where you could probably fast forward a minute or two if you want, because we're just going to be watching this little blue bar move across the screen. So yeah, hope your day's going good. Don't worry, hopefully you only have to watch this video one time or just open it up when you need a refresher. So the scanner's going to do its thing, chugging along, but still a lot faster than making a perfect print in the darkroom. Alright, and then once it's done, it's going to pop up this window. Don't close it until you save it. You're going to need to go to File, Save As. And you'll notice that the file format is a TIFF because we chose 14 bit depth. So this picture was taken back where my dad lived in New Jersey in a town called Allendale. I actually had a night photography assignment in college. This was one of my first times doing night photography and using color. It was it was one of the first assignments where I was learning to shoot color. So I usually like to call my photos the title and then the word scan, and then I save it because I like to then create a separate file when I actually work in Photoshop. So then I would call it Allendale Night Edit, and then I would save that as .psd. That's where I'd have all my layers in Photoshop. And then I'd have any versions that I've resized for output, whether that's a digital output, like for a web-based platform, or a print output, because those would take separate resolutions. So then I might have Allendale Night 8x10 print, Allendale Night 4x5 web, and then I know how I've resized that image. So I can always go from the Photoshop file to this one. Alright, so I have that, and you can keep scanning other ones on that strip, or when you're done, click on this button right here. That is the eject film button, so your film will come out. Okay, and then you can do that, and then you can back this file up to your Google Drive, okay, and then you can edit it with Photoshop, either if you have Photoshop on your home computer. If you don't, or you have a laptop and want to bring it in, I can help you out with that. Or you can edit it on one of the laptops, that I will have brought. I just turned the scanner off. That's why it said a serious error occurred. Okay. So then you can edit it, and then we can prep it for Young Arts if you're watching this video for Young Arts. And I'll have separate videos about how to resize if you've never done resizing in Photoshop before. All right. Thanks. Bye.